Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. One of the biggest storylines for this Michigan program during the offseason has been the quarterback battle that we've seen play out during spring practice. And from what it sounds like coming from inside the program, it sounds like Alex Orji is probably that quarterback one heading into fall camp, the quarterback to beat for that quarterback one spot. Want to dive in to some of the film we got to see from Alex Orji during that spring game, evaluate his performance, talk about what he did well, talk about what he needs to improve on heading into 2024. Really excited to get into this one. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. Massive shout out to the Michigan fans. It has been, I've said it time and time again, it's been one of the more exciting off seasons for us Michigan fans. A lot of different storylines, a lot of different position battles. The amount of support y'all continue to show to the boys truly does mean a lot. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Much more importantly, would love to hear some of your feedback in the comments section, how you thought the quarterback position played. Obviously, Davis Warren had a phenomenal afternoon as well. And for the Michigan fans, I think we're going to do a lot of different things with this spring game. Want to look at the different defensive fronts that we saw Wink Martindale throw out on Saturday afternoon. So if y'all enjoy it, stay tuned. And without further ado, let's get into Alex Orji now. Before we get into some of the film I want to talk about, I just want to talk about the overall feel we saw from Alex Orji. And I think where you want to start with this conversation is Alex Orji is probably not a spring practice quarterback. And what I mean by that is you have a lot of quarterbacks that probably thrive in that setting where the quarterbacks aren't live. They're getting that extra second to go through their reads, push the ball down the field. Alex Orji, you make no mistake about it, the best asset that Alex Orji brings to this Michigan program is his athleticism, his ability to be one of, if not the best athlete on the football field. And largely when you're not live as a quarterback, that trait is kind of taken away or at least mitigated in spring games. So evaluating Alex Orji, you almost don't get a chance to see really his best skill set as a quarterback for this Michigan program. Now, getting into what we saw from Alex Orji, the good. I thought the good started with his command of the offense. I think there was probably 2 reps that I saw where he was not getting the football out on time. Right. This was a guy that for the ball placement, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Obviously, the accuracy when pushing the ball down the field varied at times, to say the least. The thing that you really liked, if you're a Michigan fan, is, going through his progressions, the ball was coming out quick. It was coming out on time. It was going to the right spots. Right. And that's one of the big things that we were worried about Alex Orji. We all know he has a big arm. Accuracy, obviously, still a question. The biggest thing we wanted to see was him going through his progression, showing command of the offense. And I thought largely he did a very good job of that. Now, I think the negatives that we'll talk about, I think it largely starts with the ball placement and kind of just not throwing the fastball every single time. I think Joel Klatt during the broadcast made a really good point. We all know Alex Orji can throw the ball a million miles an hour, right? And it kind of reminds you of Joe Milton when he was at Michigan, where you saw the arm talent, the arm strength. And the problem with Joe Milton was he never really could kind of harness that arm strength, right? He was always kind of missing a lot of throws with accuracy, but also just not really layering the football and kind of just throwing those fastballs. You kind of saw that with Alex Orji a little bit. And at some points, you'll need that fastball to fit it into some tight windows. But, you go back to the definition of what you want in a quarterback, especially in this Michigan offense. You want to be the point guard of the offense. You want to be throwing catchable balls to your receivers. And oftentimes, that's not necessarily using that fastball. So the ball placement, varying his speeds and kind of his type of pitches during his throws, that's probably what you want to see him continue to work on. Now, want to get into some of the film. Obviously, want to start with some of the good. And I think some of the good shows that Alex Orji in his arm strength, that can be a massive asset at times. And one of the things that really frustrated you going back to a guy like Cade McNamara is this kind of throw from the opposite hash to the boundary. This is a really difficult throw for a lot of quarterbacks at the college football level. Alex Orji, not so much, because he has an extremely strong arm. He's able to hit Peyton O'Leary in stride here, let him get upfield, picking up the first down. And I think another thing to notice during this is, he knows exactly where to go with this football. And I think that's something that you saw routinely during the spring game, which I think is probably your number one reason to be optimistic about Alex Orji. For all the throws that he missed from an accuracy standpoint, he didn't put the ball in harm's way one time, and he was getting the ball out quick. He knew where to go with the football, and I think that is massive. Again, this is a throw that you see a lot of college quarterbacks struggle with. Alex Orji is not going to struggle with that. Next play you look at, and again, kind of showing the command. It was a 4th and 2 situation. Wake Martindale loading the box. He's going to bring pressure. Two things that you see when you roll the film here for Alex Orji. One, high command, knows where he is hot, knows where he needs to go with the football. 4th and 2, big play late in the game. And then the second thing is we talked about maybe using the fastball too much. He ends up having to kind of throw this one up and over Cole Sullivan, early enrollee linebacker, and he's going to be great for us in the future. He's got those long arms. He's got that big frame. This is not necessarily an easy throw because you're working with the boundary as well. So you got to get it up and over Cole Sullivan to your, I think it was like an H-back kind of coming in motion and hitting that guy in stride. That's a big-time play. It's a big-time throw. It's not necessarily the flashiest throws, but it's nice to see Alex Orji have command in that kind of situation late in the game, 4th and 2. And then the last play we need to talk about, and really the reason why all Michigan fans are extremely excited about Alex Orji, is his ability to make plays. I mean, Jim Harbaugh said it last year, Alex Orji might be the best pure athlete that you see on this Michigan team. And you kind of get a chance to see, and you didn't get a chance to see it all too often during the spring game because they weren't going to run him. You get a little read option here where the play gets kind of blown up. And Jim Harbaugh always said this with J.J. McCarthy, can you make nothing something? And Alex Orji certainly can do that like JJ did for the last couple of years. And again, not trying to drag a guy like Cade McNamara, but I mean, this is a sack for Cade McNamara. There's no way if Cade McNamara is getting out of this kind of situation. Alex Orji extends the plays, gets Marlon Klein to block downfield for him. I mean, Ernest Hausman probably getting a hand on him, probably not bringing a guy like Alex Orji down. He's running through the end zone. That is probably the best asset that Alex Orji brings to this Michigan program. I think that's why a lot of Michigan fans want to see him as a starting quarterback. And I think, quite frankly, that's why I think Alex Orji is going to be your quarterback one heading into 2024. Now, I say that and all saying it wasn't a perfect game from Alex Orji. There were some things that you want to see get cleaned up. And the first thing I want to talk about is really just the ball placement. I mean, like he had some throws where, and there was a few times with the command of the offense too. I want to talk about the command of the offense first and kind of going through your reads, getting the football out quick. 3rd and 3 situation here. You roll the film. His first read is to go to Zach Marshall at this tight end spot. And the throwing window kind of gets crunched down. Maybe you got to get rid of it. But when Alex Orji comes off that first read, you really would like to see him identify at the top of your screen. You have a wide receiver that's got a lot of space. It's 3rd and 3. He's beyond the sticks. This ball needs to come out. And as you roll the film, you just would like to see Alex Orji be able to pick up on this wide receiver at the top of your screen. I'm not sure who it is from right here. It might be Freddie Moore. Regardless of who it is, you run that play back. Alex Orji breaking the pocket, which you love him to have the ability to do. He's got to find this wide receiver. This was really the only time where you saw Alex Orji kind of miss an open receiver, not go where he needed to go with the football. And again, that's what makes me so excited is most of the reps that were bad for Alex Orji were just some accuracy issues. It wasn't really going through his progressions and going to the bad guy or not finding the receiver that was open, which I think is optimistic for a lot of Michigan fans heading into 2024. The next thing I want to talk about, the ball placement. There were a couple throws on Saturday that, you really just can't miss. Now, something I want to highlight here, Tyler Morris, you got Will Johnson working on Tyler Morris in the slot here, and Tyler Morris runs a phenomenal route. Like this is a big-time route from Tyler Morris, able to create a lot of separation with Will Johnson. Alex Orji, again, is on time with this football, right? Michigan brings a little heat. Wink Martindale brought heat all day. He throws it early before really Tyler Morris comes out of your break if you rewind this. But this is a throw that you got to make. You talk about winning national championships, winning conference championships. You need a quarterback that can make this kind of throw. Just throw Tyler Morris open to the boundary, leaves it behind him, ends up being an incomplete pass. The ball placement was a little bit of a problem. And then the last rep you want to take a look at here is we're going to pull. Actually, that's the last rep that we got. So I guess what you kind of come down to with Alex Orji is you saw a lot of really good things from him. And I think the command of the offense was one of those things that we wanted to see heading into Saturday. And I thought we saw that. And now I think the main thing you want to see from Alex Orji is you want to see him have the ability to have that ball placement, be able to be consistent with some of those throws. Like if you're going with the right reads to the right players at the right time, and we all saw that, he just needs that last part. That last part is having that accuracy on a down in, down out basis. Again, going back to that Tyler Morris rep, you have to be able to hit those kind of throws if you expect to win national championships. JJ McCarthy very rarely missed those throws, and a lot of the throws that we saw Alex Orji struggle with was pushing the ball down the field, similar to what JJ struggled with early on in his career as well. I think you leave that game for Michigan saying, I think Alex Orji, it can be a quarterback that can win a lot of games for Michigan. I think, quite frankly, Davis Warren can be a quarterback that wins a lot of football games for Michigan as well. I think Michigan's in a much better spot at quarterback than a lot of people like to give him credit. And again, Alex Orji didn't even get to show why he can be an elite quarterback at the college football level, because that is with his athleticism, with what he can do with the football in his hands. So I liked what we saw from Alex Orji. We're going to continue to break down this Michigan spring game with a lot of different looks. Really excited to get into this one and get into some other ones later on. Again, Michigan fans, if y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. A lot of good stuff coming up. Appreciate you guys rocking with it, and we'll talk to y'all